and we have really interesting discussion. We heard about political part and theory, how it should be implemented, and after dinner we will hear to the Association of European experts, and now I give the floor to Ivan Plachkov, who was former minister, and now he's a chairman of the board Kyivenergo, and also Iryna Osovyk and Igor Gorodyskyi, commercial director of Kyivenergo, and also we ask Mikhail Aryan to stay here with us. He is not only a diplomat, he worked for a long time in the energy ministry during the last months, and now he deals with communication issues in Kyivenergo. So here are people who really understand, who are suppliers, and they are, their opinion is really important. I give the floor to Ivan. So you're a great moderator. You know the situation greatly. We have time, so we will have fruitful discussion. So tell me when to stop. So we can speak about it for hours, actually. Thank you, dear colleagues, and I would like to have an introductory word. The situation through the prism of the reforms that were implemented in the energy sphere. We transferred from one system, the form of organization and the forms of ownership. We made a lot of reforms, and maybe we implemented more reforms than any other European country for the short period of time as we did it here in Ukraine. And I'm deeply convinced that when we implemented these reforms, we thought about country, about state, about industries, about companies, about energy market, but we didn't think about consumers, because traditionally we thought that consumers are disciplined, as during Soviet times they always paid and they agreed to any condition. And in 1990s and start of 200s, our customers did not have any rights and didn't, so the customer didn't have access to the networks in order to be connected. And our colleagues from Germany, for them it would be a great surprise that in Kyiv Oblast, for example, if a man built a house, in order to get connected to the network, he needed to create a line up 10 kilowatt and to reconstruct substation, and and even then maybe he should have repaired the substation 100. So the overall cost was about several million hryvnias. So this was the problem. And also the quality of services and products. We should identify what is electricity. Is it a service or a good? Because tariff was the name of one of Berber's leaders who took money for the Gibraltar transfer of ships, and we increased tariffs, but the quality decreased of this service, of this good. And during the discussion, I'm going to ask questions to the representatives of the regulator and Kyivenergo and Ukrenergo. As a consumer who consumes electricity in the city, who consumes electricity in the villages, and I would like to have this discussion through the interests of the consumers. This is an acute problem. And this is an important discussion about the energy ombudsman and how to create this new structure. And I'm deeply convinced that humanity up until now in any country didn't find optimum algorithm of cooperation between natural monopolies and consumers. They didn't find the answer. So the forms of control are different. State bodies control, and the European experience shows I'm sorry, Sergei Mikhailovich, you know that if someone doesn't listen, I lose my thought, what I wanted to say. So European community said, let's regulate, you should regulate the system, the companies, that they should organize and get feedback, and it would be more right and more fair, because the state is the state. It is heavy if it does something, so there will be many other issues involved. That's why this scheme is created. I believe that today all the rights, the task of protection of the rights of consumers is the obligation of National Commission, because it provides licenses, and in this licenses it is said what this company should really provide. The National Commission is powerful, and they have so many responsibilities. You can't even imagine how they really deal with all of this, because overall money flow is 350 billion, and the budget of the state is 700 billion. And in order not to forget about protection of the consumers, we should focus on our attention of this topic. And I would like to give the floor to Iryna, and she is going to tell you about this. Please. Okay, so European legislation envisages, and European directives of the European Parliament envisage that the state, the members, should create effective procedures of dealing with the complaints, and they should guarantee the existence of independent mechanism, such as the protection of consumers' rights, the body that will be responsible for this, to efficiently resolve the disputes. And the regulator should verify complaints of household consumers, and the regulator should be provided with such obligations that will allow to fulfill its obligations, and with the view of which the regulator should have obligations such as to issue decisions of binding character for energy suppliers, and also to have some rights for investigation, and also the rights to provide proceedings for this, and also to be the body of power that is responsible for settling the disputes between vertically integrated enterprises and operators of transport system if complaint appears. So by law of Ukraine on national regulator that is now in the President's office for approval, it is envisaged that the regulator has the right and obliged to review these complaints of the consumers, and to have this extrajudicial review of these cases. And for this, the regulator should take two provisions, one of which is the rules to review complaints and to settle disputes, and the second resolution is the rules to settle disputes between the entities of the market, and so between all those who are in this market. As of today, the Commission developed the document that will envisage that the consumers, as a party of the contract, they should resolve the disputes first with the suppliers of services or suppliers of electric energy. In what way it should be done? As we believe, so dispute resolution in energy market is important. In 2009, they created information and consultative centers that provided information and consultations, and also they review disputes and complaints of the household consumers and non-household consumers, small business as well. And if consumers who address to this consultative centers, if they are not satisfied by the decision taken, they have the right to resolve this case at the sitting of the Commission. And in what ways these meetings are held and who participates. The Commission consists So this slide is how the complaints are reviewed by the Commission, and if you have interest in this, we will return to this issue. So first the head, deputy head, and specialist of the Commission. And also the members of the Commission, head of the Commission, who is the representative of the company, then obligatory the representative of National Commission for State Regulation of the Energy and Utilities, and state and also the representatives of Anti-Monopoly Committee, local government, if they agree on this. So the dispute is reviewed in presence of the person who filed complaint, of the official representative of this person. So there are many issues that are resolved for the benefit of the person who complained, but there are some issues. So the representatives of Commission, they may not agree. Maybe the representative of the National Commission for State Regulation won't agree, and this dispute issue can be sent to the body who can resolve this issue, whether it is a National Commission for State Regulation in the energy sphere or Kyivenergo, and many times we considered and reviewed these complaints we get, And we had our opinion, and we took different decisions than those decisions that were proposed by our representatives or by representatives of the companies. If the consumer is not satisfied with the decision of the Commission that was taken during the meeting of this Commission, he can address once again to the National Commission or State Control or to the court. And my opinion is that we should have this ombudsman, because in courts the consumer is not protected. If he addresses to the lawyer who is not a specialist in the field, in energy, in technical issues, then the consumer is left with the judge, and he cannot protect himself properly. And also they do not always take our consideration into account, and decisions are taken not to the benefit of the consumer. Also, I would like to say that this issue cannot be resolved fast, and these issues, they are long-term, and many disputes are not solved. So when we will have the order in the Commission to review the complaints, and if we have regulations that envisage, first, that the consumer will try to settle this dispute with the company. Then, if he is not satisfied, he will address the National Commission for State Regulation in the Energy and Utilities, and the Commission will get involved the specialists of State Surveillance Office if need be, and this dispute will be resolved, and will decide whether this company is right or not. If the National Commission will take decision that the company is not right and it violates the rights of the consumer, then in this case it would be right, in my opinion, to make the company responsible for this violation. And when the company will know that if they violate something, and it will be established by the Commission, and it can be brought to responsibility financially, then these disputes will be resolved at the first stage when the consumer applied. So this will reduce the time of dispute resolution, and also the number of those disputes and complaints the consumers address to the National Commission, to State Surveillance Office, to Anti-Monopoly Commission, and to court. I have two questions, and maybe you'll join us, and I would give some examples. We are in the beginning of the long way on protecting the rights. So you said that Information Consultative Center, even in its name, this name says that this is the body that just informs, consults, and me as a consumer, if I write a letter to Information Center, I understand that I won't get an answer and they do not protect me. So colonist plant create wines or some sort of goods, gas. They sent a paper, and there was a fine that they didn't took 50 50 cubic meters from the limit. So they established a limit, and Naftogaz and the Premier and the National Commission, they all agreed that they should save this gas, and in 2 weeks they got the fine to pay for the saving of gas. So we addressed the National Commission to Naftogaz, and I provided the paper to and there was no reaction to this. So I know this area, I know this issue. I say we want to save gas in winter. We address, and why we fine people and let the National Commission to fine people. And I tell you the reason why. The reason is that the contract for gas supply coordinated by the Commission envisages if you increase the limit, you are fined, and if you decrease, you are fined as well. So the Commission should have thought about the rights of customers if you call on people to save gas. But okay, 2.5 months passed, nothing changed. Who is responsible? Information Consultative Center. How this mechanism should work? But it should work, but it doesn't. Second example, so residential house in the village, remote area, Odessa Kyivenergo, the lines, the voltage 16 from 4 to midnight is 170 volts. So it's impossible to work on this, and everyone knows me in the sphere, but they told me we cannot do anything. Why? Because they increased load, and when they established these lines, they are not properly assessed this, and self-supporting aerial cables were not able to sustain this. And they said that maybe you should be provided with separate station, but this is not correct. I write a complaint, and I did it for 3 years. What should be the reaction on this? What should be the response? So there are many complaints like this. And when the Commission reviews the investor projects from Ukrenergo, and they say, we do not put large transformers, we don't need them. We will replace them, and electricity won't come to me. But we should start from consumer, because he should get energy. We should think about them. Who should establish this mechanism? This should be done by the National Commission. This mechanism is discussed, whether it is discussed, and who should do this. That should be a proper body. And our German colleagues, could you tell us who could force Ukrenergo to supply electricity with the voltage of 220 plus minus 510 volts? I do not know. There is no secrets for me in energy sphere, and we created this commission. Can you please explain to me this issue? And then we will give the floor to our natural monopolists. So this is not a question to us. I am speaking about the system. Should we create such a system? I start with the second question. It is regulated from the top and from the bottom. And you are, as a former minister, you know about the investment programs. He coordinated it, not me. If I coordinated, I won't be here then. So the program is formed from below, and then they create first the contracts with the consumers. Then how the consumer should act. There are clearly established rules for consumers, how they should act in the case if they have different voltage. I cannot punish. I know what you're saying. I tried it so many times. So you asked who should protect the consumer from the company. When you provide license, who should react? Who should respond? Well, Babakov sitting in Moscow and having this Obolenergo, I know him well. Who should protect me from him? It's you, not him. I shouldn't fight him. He is in Moscow. He says to Obolenergo, pay more to me. Bring me more money. He doesn't think about me. He doesn't think about quality and quantity of electricity. He just wants to get more money. Who should protect me? Who? This Information Consultative Center? No, it's not personally to you. Sergei Mikhailovich is sitting there. I ask him through you. He knows the answer. Why we do it? Because that's why we should jointly together today form the system. There should be punishment. They should be properly fined. There should be a system of fines. I would like to ask my colleagues with studied experience, am I moving in the right direction, Sasha? Could you tell me? And when we created the commission, the decree was signed by Kravchuk, and Karotya brought it to Kyivenergo to me and said the national commission was established, and he explained the ideology to me, and I understood that if the owner of Obolenergo, does not follow the rules of the license, there is a state body that cannot change the form of ownership, but we wanted to introduce external control because he has monopoly right to do business and he abuses the citizens of Ukraine, and he is in Moscow. What should we do? So there should be external control. We cannot just fine him because he will appeal to court. So this is a complicated issue. But I will respond. First part. Firstly, we are now on the eve of distribution of the market. We will have separate suppliers, separate the company that provide the service. And we will have enough suppliers, and the consumer would be able to choose the supplier. And how can I live up to this bright future? I believe it will happen soon. And for this, today we elaborate documents that will be unbundling. There should be proper contracts that will regulate all relationship and also the right of consumer to choose supplier. This is first. Second, earning is good until the moment comes when the person should be responsible for the quality of services. And this is a system of fines that are implemented here. So taking licenses away, depriving of licenses, not just taking away these licenses. You can't just take it away. If you take it from Obolenergo, and who will supply? So the system will work. What system? If we take the license from supplier, and here's the supplier to the household consumers, in this case we have guaranteed suppliers who will take this responsibility and will provide. Do we have it now? let's not speak about that law, because I know that this law won't work as the previous one for 2 years. So I would like to live 2 years and see how can I get 220 volts. First part, we have State Surveillance Office. Yes, they came to us. They came and said, we confirm that there is only 170 volts. And then you have the confirmation of this. And maybe 3 of us can solve this issue during the month. So they should provide you with a document, and the company should remove the problem. Can they just replace all the facilities, all the lines? Igor Nikolaevich told you, but maybe it should be done in all the regions, all the villages. I would like to tell you, there was a period when everything was distracted. What do they distract? What did they distract? No, they established a new line. Let's bring another topic. We just state the fact that we should create a body, a system, an algorithm of not only considering these issues, but also how to solve these problems. When we look at investment programs on gas, on water, on heating, we should start with consumer, not with generation. We should first look at consumer. And for our colleagues, maybe it would be a surprise how many meters did we establish last year. 16,000, and how many were damaged? We established 3,000, 2,000. So all of them will be. So we should create the system, because we do not see the responsibility of consumer. He should sign the agreement, and there are many issues that we should deal with. About the destruction of meters, this is the level of responsibility. If we have the code of administrative responsibility, we have criminal responsibility code, and the administrative code, the companies can deal with it at their level. They provide the complaint, and according to criminal court, the police can come, and then they can record these facts, and the commission cannot deal with these issues. So, as to violations.
Thank you. So, we state the fact that the system should be made more efficient, more clear, starting with the consumer. We would like to give the floor to Sergei Mikhailovich. I think that the problem of colonist company could not be resolved even by the German national regulator. It concerns the imbalance. The question, this is our future gas market when it understands what is imbalance. If Kyivenergo will just make an error in 5%, this means 100,000 meters of gas. So the issue of balance is very important. Ivan Vasilyevich, you understand everything correctly. I would like to say that Ivan Vasilyevich in 2006 said that the Party of Consumer Protection will win any election. Alexei Yurievich founded such a party, and now we will ask him to take us, to allow us to join his party at these elections. So I saw in the report which we were disseminated today, this is not the problem of our country alone. When a national regulator addresses not only the problems of consumer protection, but more is involved in setting rules of the game at the market. That is why in Europe and Australia and other countries, if national regulator can't do that, then the institution for consumer protection should be launched. I have read this in your today's brochure, how we tried to address this by administrative ways. Any complaint which we receive and the national regulator, we sent it to the company. When a complaint for a company submitted by a consumer is received by us, then it is stamped at our commission and sent to the company, and this results in improvement of efficiency. Some complaints then were heard at the open meetings with inviting mass media persons to our meetings. This also was an effective measure. This is when we speak about transparency and publicity. Any company is afraid of its errors to be made public. This is very important matter. And then some in-deep problems such as were told about at the beginning of this energy day in the morning. We can just launch ombudsman institution, but it won't work without errors. Error is just an ordinary thing. So there is public discussions draft law pending in the parliament. If, for example, a DESA investment program can't be adopted until public discussion is held for those programs which I signed, also DESA governor signed them. I mean the other period, not the period when you were the governor of Odessa region. Of course, local authorities, they initialed the investment program, not understanding them well. As soon as this clear mechanism of public consultations with small businesses, large businesses, district authorities, village authorities participation, and with a clear-cut mechanism to summarize, then some responsibility would appear. For example, when national regulator not initials, not approve such program, this would be a resonant case. This would be a scandal. For example, when in the Soviet Union times electricity networks households were connected to electricity networks within short period of time. Currently, we know this problem. Me and you, Ivan Vasilievich, we know it, that in Odessa region, this is a super problematic area. We have written the plans, but we built 3 lines for 110 kilovolts, and what we have planned, it has not been implemented. Here some multi-stage mechanism should be developed. We have such NGOs. I don't think we have such NGOs like in Germany, but some list of matters which ombudsman should address, which should be in its competence, because ombudsman can't address and resolve all matters in the energy sector, just some certain portion of them within some limits, and other mechanisms they should be in set. We can't be within the limits. We can't comply with the limits, time limits today. When the market of planned Soviet economy, the first secretary of regional party branch was the head, was the top manager, and when the company was provided the powers to be a monopoly and to do what this company wants, then the national regulator was established with the main objective to regulate relations, to regulate the system of consumer monopoly relationship and then relationships inside the sector. But the main functions of the national regulator, they are now abandoned. We remember the ideology of establishing the national regulator when the World Bank wanted us to sign establishing of the national regulator. Because Kyivenergo should be controlled, because Kyivenergo monopoly, they just think about money, like Scrooge McDuck in the famous animation. So if you have a question to me, you can ask. We always need to go a little bit to the side from the energy sector, because you are very professional and you can win in any discussion. National regulator, this is a Supreme Court in the utilities sector and in the energy sector. As for me, it would be easier to tell that the national regulator is a quasi-judicial body, and energy ombudsman, this is a lawyer in this system on the part of consumer, because a consumer can't be institutionalized. It is discrete. If you read natural monopoly laws, the legislature put their lawmakers, they say that consumer is important, not only supplier. Thank you very much. I started my panel with this, just word for word. So we are single-minded persons for a long time. Now I would like to talk about Kyivenergo company. We look into such a system, how in our country we make systemic mistakes which can't be corrected. We have made two systemic mistakes at the beginning of 1990s. It has broken the residential and utility sector when we privatized apartments, housing stock, and when we said that all stairs, cellars, they are owned by residents of those buildings proportionally. Then we broken all the system of relations when some people just cut the networks. This is fixed in the legislation. This was the first mistake. The second mistake, we adopted the law which has such a provision, a know-how of Ukraine, that heat, water, and electricity suppliers, they just become service providers. I was surprised very much with the stand of national regulator and the position of Kyivenergo and other large companies. So this law was adopted, and during last 2 years, service providers should conclude contracts with each apartment, even for hot water, which is not a commodity globally. There are gigacalories and meters, cubic meters of water. Where is the way out of this situation? All of us and you personally agreed, and now we have a very complicated situation. Where is the way out? Do you have any proposals at the national regulator? I think that we are in the deadlock situation. Thank you, Ivan Vasilievich. You assess the situation in impartial way, objectively. Kyivenergo is a unique company. It is a supplier of hot water, heating, and electricity. This is unique. Yes, our consent was just silent consent. We were made obliged. We were just obliged to fulfill the law which was adopted. Electricity supply matters. This sector has the rules of the game more or less sustainable, and this concerns heat supply, hot water, and cold water supply. This area is very problematic, and the way out of this situation is rather complicated since so the snowball of problem is growing, has been growing. 1198 regulation, as soon as it was adopted, no other regulations to amend it have been adopted yet. So the area of water supply really makes problems. Super monopolies, this is the sin which we should abandon, because Kyivenergo is the example. It is hard to unbundle this monster. So to minimize complaints of the clients, we can go online so that the customer can address all issues via internet. The second is to unbundle supply and transmission. For our clients to ask their questions and after some time to receive answers. I have one question. Mikhail was appointed to made a good appointment, so we hope that Ukrenergo will succeed with such appointed officials. There are some regions which face systemic problems of energy supply. For example, southern part of Odessa region, because we depend there on Moldova power plant and other regions. I have a request to you. Look into this on the second turn and on the first turn for the energy community. Just look into the integration of Ukrainian system into the European energy system. This is my request. He was appointed and I asked him to address this issue. I can ask. Yes, I was appointed yesterday. Thank you very much for your congratulations and comments, and thank you for your piece of advice where we should focus our attention. So we will focus attention on relationships with the operators, network operators from our neighboring countries, and the second is I would like to tell about consumers. I am very glad that what we started in the Ministry of Energy, this develops at some pace, so ombudsman and this will have a very specific task talking about Ukrenergo and consumers. With Всеволод Kovalchuk, me and the team, we discussed this question. Of course, Ukrenergo is a monopoly, but a very specific one, because we are not so customer oriented. We do not have so much relations to individual consumers. We more work with businesses. For 3 days we have been discussing how to make Ukrenergo customer oriented. So we have already studied and we will change this focus. Working with business should be transparent. This work should be transparent. Tariffs paid by consumers for electricity consumption includes electricity transportation component. Our task is to demonstrate that the tariff is transparent. All our efforts will be to demonstrate that we are maximum transparent in the use of money which we receive as the proceeds from the paid bills for electricity. As concerns our relations with consumers, new electricity market law, if you read it, this new draft, you will see that systemic operator is imposed many strategic tasks on. Our tasks are, there are very many new tasks which Ukrenergo can't implement very fast. We will have 3 vectors besides our international activities, and we will try to make our company having a human face. I have 2 proposals and wishes here in the audience. Among the audience, I see 6 persons who are capable to draft several laws within 2 days, but some other people draft laws. That is why I now call on all energy community to be more active, politically active, so that in very short time those people who are capable to draft law, who can we see among the audience, so that they write such laws. Now we have the lunch break, and we will be back in 1 hour. Thank you.